So what happens when AI systems stop just suggesting things and start actually doing them?
Right.
Today, the world AI isn't just theory anymore. It's autonomous agents managing code, it's $20 billion hardware deals, and it's new rules about how often a chatbot has to tell you it's not human.
Welcome to the deep dive. We're focusing exclusively on those critical artificial intelligence developments published on December 27, 2025.
And we've gathered all the key sources to help you cut through the noise. We're seeing this rapid maturation happening across the whole ecosystem. It's moving from the lab to, well, global deployment.
That's right. And this deep dive is really built around two central shifts that are going to define 2026. The first is this pivot from training huge models to a highly efficient low-latency inference.
So how fast the AI makes decisions in the real world.
Exactly. And the second shift is the maturation of global AI governance, particularly around these human-like systems and, national tech sovereignty.
So we'll get into new models from China and South Korea. We'll break down why NVIDIA just made its biggest acquisition ever, and we'll look at some pretty aggressive new regulations coming out.
Our goal here is to connect all these threads for you so you can see the strategic takeaways for the year ahead. AI is moving from being a tool to being an operator, and that changes everything. So let's dive into the research.
Okay, starting in China, the big headline is all about speed. Shenzhou Technology and Tsinghua University have released a video generation framework called Turbo Diffusion, and the claim is just wild.
It is. It's 100 to 200 times acceleration for AI video,
With no quality loss.
with no perceivable quality degradation. And that's a huge structural breakthrough. It completely changes the economics of AI video. People are already calling it a DeepSeek moment for video models over in Asia.
Okay, DeepSeek moment is a very specific term. Break that down for us.
Sure. It just means a sudden, kind of unexpected leap in capability that redefined the whole competitive landscape. It forces everyone to rethink their priorities.
So in this case, the priority becomes speed.
All about speed. It makes real-time personalized video streams much more viable. A huge efficiency gain.
That need for speed brings us to OpenAI and their specialized coding model.
This is a perfect example of that move from tool to operator. OpenAI has refined GPT 5.2 codecs for, and this is the key phrase, long-horizon autonomous engineering.
So it's not just writing a bit of code or fixing a bug.
Not at all. It's designed for complex, multi-step workflows, truly independent task execution.
But how does an agent like that manage a massive code base? I mean, how does it keep track of everything without getting lost in the details?
That's the critical challenge they tackled. They use a technique called context compaction.
Okay.
So instead of reloading the entire project history all the time, the model learns to compress older, less relevant parts of the code. And it lets the agent keep a coherent mental map of the project over days or even weeks.
And the performance metric is a 56.4% success rate on the SWE Bench Pro benchmark.
Which is a very demanding benchmark. That number establishes it as an active engineering operator, not just a passive assistant.
And that ties right back to the need for that fast inference we were talking about.
Exactly. Let's pivot to South Korea, where the theme is national tech sovereignty.
Right. They've unveiled AXK1, a hyperscale teacher model for national AI strategy.
And at 519 billion parameters, it is truly massive. It was developed by the government and an SK Telecom consortium specifically to avoid relying on foreign tech.
And this teacher model strategy is fascinating. How does that architecture work?
It's a really smart, efficient system. So the big AXK1 model is the teacher. It has all the deep foundational reasoning.
Okay.
Then it transfers that knowledge to smaller, more efficient student models. These are cheaper, faster, and they're optimized for South Korea's own industries like manufacturing and robotics.
So it's an infrastructure strategy for national control.
Precisely.
All right, one last thing in research. Let's jump ahead 5 or 10 years with a vision paper on quantum computing.
This one's really interesting. It's about laying the groundwork for an exponential leap in complexity for things like video games.
So this paper from ArcSieve, it's about using fault-tolerant quantum computers for procedural content generation, PCG.
Right. PCG is what lets games generate those vast, realistic worlds automatically. The problem is it relies on solving what are called constraint satisfaction problems, or CSPs.
Which are basically like incredibly complex digital Sudoku puzzles.
Exactly. And classical computers just hit a wall. But quantum algorithms, like one called decoded quantum interferometry, show potential for an exponential speedup. It signals the next generation of virtual environments.
Okay, let's move from research to products that people are actually using. And it seems like the browser is the new battleground for AI.
Absolutely. The browser company is making a huge pivot here. They're moving away from their Arc browser to focus entirely on something called Dia,
An AI-first browser.
an AI-first browser with a $20 monthly subscription for the Pro plan. It has a deeply integrated chatbot, features like summarizing all your open tabs at once.
That $20 price tag is a really strong signal. They think an agentic interface is a premium product.
Well, the browser is the natural place for an autonomous agent to live, right?
Mm-hmm.
If these models are running tasks for you, you need a smart interface to manage it all.
Meanwhile, in the creative world, the big focus is on control. Canva is tackling this head-on.
Yes, Canva launched a foundational design model that generates designs with editable layers. This is so critical. It doesn't just give you a flat, static image.
So you can generate a design and then immediately go in and change the font or move an object without starting over.
Exactly. It makes the AI-generated content instantly practical. It's a seamless, iterative process.
And we're seeing that same focus on control in video with Luma.
Luma released a tool called Ray 3 Modify. It lets creators change major elements in existing video footage after it's been shot.
Like changing an actor's costume or the background.
Costumes, locations, even subtle behaviors. And the key is that it preserves the original actor's performance, their motion, their timing, their emotional delivery. It's a huge step for post-production.
Okay, let's talk about the hardware that's making all of this possible. The biggest news, by far, is NVIDIA's $20 billion acquisition.
Their largest ever. They've acquired key assets from Groq, including their engineering team and their core language processing unit, or LPU technology.
Now, $20 billion seems like an astronomical price for what's being called a defensive move.
It's an offensive-defense strategy, and the price reflects how urgent this market shift is. Yes, it neutralizes a competitor, but more importantly, it secures Groq's leadership in ultra-low latency inference.
Their LPU can run models at 500 to 750 tokens per second.
Which is incredibly fast.
Yeah.
And that speed is what matters now. The market has shifted from training to deployment.
Because these autonomous agents need to make decisions almost instantly.
Sub-second. For NVIDIA to stay dominant, they have to own the speed advantage.
Now, another chip giant, Intel, is signaling a manufacturing comeback.
They've announced a new processor on their advanced 18A manufacturing process. This is a big part of their multi-year effort to get back in the game for AI chips.
And this isn't just a roadmap update. They're saying production will start at their Arizona facility.
Right, which has concrete timelines and shores up the U.S. domestic supply chain.
And finally, on infrastructure, let's look at the Middle East, where the investment is just staggering.
The UAE has joined a global AI infrastructure partnership. They're targeting a $100 billion investment pool.
$100 billion, and they're partnering with BlackRock, Microsoft, NVIDIA.
This is key to their long-term vision. They're not just buying compute. They're positioning themselves as co-builders of frontier AI infrastructure. They are leveraging sovereign wealth to become a global digital hub, not just a consumer.
Okay, this shift towards agentic, human-like AI is, of course, getting a response from regulators, and Beijing seems to be taking the most aggressive stance.
They are. China has drafted rules that mandate anthropomorphic AI has to disclose its identity every 2 hours.
Every 2 hours. That seems incredibly specific. What are they trying to prevent?
It's a direct response to what's called the companion effect. The concern is that long, uninterrupted conversations with persuasive chatbots can blur reality and lead to dependency or manipulation.
So the rules even mandate emotional monitoring and intervention if the AI detects signs of addiction.
It's a very direct effort to, protect social harmony.
And also in China, they're standardizing how these models are evaluated.
Right. The Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, or MIIT, has set up official national benchmarks for LLMs.
And in China's economy, why does that matter so much, so quickly?
Because it immediately impacts what all the huge state-owned enterprises can buy. It forces a baseline level of quality and safety, tackling things like hallucinations and content gaps across all major customers.
Stepping out to the global stage, the OECD is trying to create a common language for when AI fails.
They've proposed standardized definitions for AI incidents, hazards, and disasters. The framework differentiates between actual harm and potential harm.
So it's about creating a consistent vocabulary for compliance and accountability.
Exactly. And when you see that the OECD's AI Incident Monitor logged 492 incidents in November alone, you realize how crucial a common taxonomy is for managing risk globally.
Now, over in Europe, there's a real policy conflict brewing.
A major one. Their strict green energy mandates for new data centers are seriously slowing down the build-out of AI infrastructure. They're facing a conflict between their AI competitiveness and their climate goals.
So they have to choose between leading on climate policy or keeping up in the global AI race.
It's a very tough choice. And it's going to define their budget discussions in 2026.
And finally, on governance, we're seeing the industry itself step up with independent safety standards.
The ML Commons A-Illuminate v1.0 safety benchmark was just released. It's a first-of-its-kind independent test. It assesses models against 12 hazard categories using 24,000 test prompts.
And are the results meaningful?
They seem to be. Microsoft's Phi 3.5 model got a very good grade, which demonstrates that this kind of rigorous independent testing can actually validate pre-deployment safety standards.
Okay, let's wrap up with a look at enterprise adoption. Where is AI really changing how business gets done, starting in Singapore?
The Overseas Chinese Banking Corporation, OCBC, just deployed a generative AI chatbot to its entire global workforce.
All 30,000 of them.
All 30,000. That makes them the first local bank in the region to hit that scale. And they expect the number of AI-handled decisions per day to jump from 4 million to 10 million.
That is a massive operational shift.
It is, and it reflects a global trend. Just look at India.
Right. India confirmed its spot as third in global AI competitiveness.
And that ranking is supported by a key metric. 62% of workers in India report using generative AI at work regularly. That is a very high integration rate.
And lastly, a big leap from Central Asia.
Kazakhstan climbed 16 spots in the Global AI Readiness Index. They're now 60th out of 195 countries.
And that's mostly driven by public sector adoption.
Exactly. They scored really high there, showing widespread use of digital solutions and e-government services. They're really a leader in the region.
Okay, as we wrap up, let's look at a couple of tools you can use right now to deal with two of the biggest problems in generative AI hallucinations and deepfakes.
On the hallucination front, which is so important for enterprise trust, Azure AI Foundry released something called ungrounded outputs correction.
What does it do?
It detects and rewrites ungrounded AI outputs in real time by checking them against source documents. It's a real step forward for reliability.
And for deepfakes.
Policy discussions are pointing to the C2PA standard. That's the Coalition for Content Provenance and Authenticity. It's a cryptographic standard that lets you verify a piece of content's origin and history, a technical solution to a trust problem.
All right, let's do the numbers of the day.
First up,
Yeah.
$20 billion. That's the price NVIDIA paid for Groq's assets. It shows the massive premium the market now puts on low-latency inference, on speed.
And the second number, 2 hours. That's the mandatory notification interval in China's draft rules for human-like AI. The system has to remind you it's not real, an aggressive move to counter psychological manipulation.
The whole story today is a shift from just building bigger models to actually managing autonomous agents safely.
Yeah.
We saw the risks, 492 incidents in 1 month. So the big question for 2026 is, will governance, these identity disclosures, safety benchmarks, will it all keep pace with the ability of models like GPT 5.2 Codex to operate in the real world?
A challenge of control.
It's not just going to define the next wave of AI, it's going to define the stability of the digital economy itself.